The Seven-Star Sea is one of the 7 forbidden areas in the mainland. Each of the 7 forbidden areas in the mainland is extremely dangerous and full of dangers. Since this Seven-Star Sea has the name of a forbidden area, it is naturally full of dangers. Once it goes deep, let alone these are the 8th level Emperor Spirit Master disciples present. Even the 9th level Holy Spirit Master has a narrow escape from death. However, this is not the most important thing. In the Stern Continent, there are many places full of dangers, such as the Hengduan Mountains on the border of the northwest countries and the Cairo Empire, the Tiankhe Mountains of the Lubanar Kingdom, the secret trial realm of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, and the Killings. The Abyss, the everlasting mountains on the border of the Rondo province of the Salem Empire, etc., can be said to be full of dangerous places. But there are only 7 forbidden places on the entire continent, for one reason only, that is, the degree of danger in them is far beyond ordinary dangerous places. Other dangerous places are like the Tiankhe Mountains and the Buluo Mountains. Although a 9th level Holy Spirit Master will encounter dangers and has a certain chance of dying, if he crosses them, he still has a high probability of surviving. But the 7 forbidden lands are different. It would be okay if they were on the periphery, like the Spirit Beast Mountain Range and the Cloud Swamp. There are a large number of adventurers taking risks on the periphery, but in its true depths, no matter how powerful the existence is, even if it is once a 9th level Holy Spirit Master enters the deepest level, there is only one possibility, and that is death. No matter which one of the 7 forbidden lands it is, as long as it enters the deepest part, it is basically a situation of death and no life. This is why the 7 forbidden lands are so prestigious on the Stern Continent. This time in the Mist Swamp, there is the Temple Guardian who can seriously injure the Sin Lord Scott with one blow. Judging from the existence of the 9th level Senior Holy Master, the other 6 forbidden areas are probably also full of dangers. Therefore, after hearing that the location of this trial was actually the Seven-Star Sea, one of the legendary 7 forbidden areas in the mainland, all the disciples present were surprised. On the other hand, Jason's eyes suddenly erupted with a bright light, and there was a hint of shock in his eyes. Because in the previous life, the ancient ruins where Jason obtained the spirit god art, the 9th level Vulcan potion formula, and the 9 spirits chi gathering formation were on a huge core island in the Seven-Star Sea. Now he knows that this trial place is. How could Jason not be surprised by the Queen of the Seven-Star Sea? Elder Waterfield, this Seven-Star Sea should be located in the Barren Ocean in the east of the continent. How did we come to the northeast of the continent? Jason among the crowd immediately wondered. Jason, who had explored the Seven-Star Sea in his previous life, naturally knew that the Seven-Star Sea was located in the easternmost part of the continent, a desolate sea in the endless ocean, but now, the Spirit Medicine Master Tower had brought everyone to the northeast of Fulu, which made Jason feel confused. This is also the reason why Jason didn't think about the trial place at first. As Jason finished speaking, many disciples present expressed doubts. Obviously, everyone had heard about the location of the famous Seven-Star Sea. Haha, Jason, you are right. The Seven-Star Sea is indeed located in the east of the mainland. However, thousands of years ago, a 9th level Holy Spirit Master discovered a forbidden land here. This forbidden land was covered by a layer of the powerful restriction, was isolated and extremely difficult to open. Later, strong men from all major forces in the mainland gathered here, and after spending a lot of energy and manpower, they finally broke through the restriction through special means. At that time, a large number of strong men from all the major forces entered this forbidden area. There were many crises in it, and many strong men fell. Even 2 9th level Holy Spirit Masters fell. Only then did that area pass through as simple. During the exploration, our major forces later discovered that the restriction here leads to a certain core area in the Seven-Star Sea, one of the 7 forbidden areas in the mainland. But don't worry, after thousands of years of exploration, our major forces have gained a considerable understanding of this forbidden area. Although the place you are testing is also full of dangers, to you, it's just right for the trial, and it won't be extremely easy, nor will it be a narrow escape. As long as you don't go out of the trial range, at least the forbidden area itself will not let you perish. Moreover, before the trial, each of you will get a detector. Once you enter the dangerous area, the detector will warn you. At that time, you can just return to the safe area. That's it. After hearing Elder Waterfield's narration, the core disciples present couldn't help but exclaim. Gas. If the trial place really allowed them to enter the depths of the seven-star sea, I am afraid that among the 20 people present, not more than 5 fingers would be able to come back alive. Thinking about it, the purpose of this trial is to compete among the major forces, and at the same time to hone their geniuses. If they go to the unfamiliar depths of the seven-star sea, it would be like asking them to die directly. While Elder Waterfield was telling Jason and others about the trial, in a barren place on the desolate plain, a figure suddenly appeared in the void. He looked around vigilantly, and then carefully, after observing the terrain for a while, I finally stood still somewhere inside the valley, as if waiting for something. A moment later, 2 more figures flew over from different directions, and 3 figures collided together in the darkness. Pasali, is it you? Alfredson, Oldman, is it you too? How to argue? When these 3 figures saw each other, their eyes showed surprise. Appearance. This Pasali is the deputy city lord of Sin City, and Alfredson is one of the 2 great sages in the Holy Land of Cairo Empire, second only to the Holy Lord. As for Oldman, he is the leader of the Kamikaze Empire. One of the 2 great sages of the Holy Land, these 3 people are the leaders of the 3 major forces of Sin City, Cairo Empire and Kamikaze Empire in this genius trial. They are all 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters. Before setting off for this bloody trial, they all received orders from the City Lord and the Holy Lord. Today before the trial started, they came here to wait for someone and accept his orders. Before coming, the 3 of them were still confused about who they were that actually asked the City Lord and the Holy Lord to accept each other's orders. Now after seeing each other, at first, they still thought that the other party was the City Lord and the Holy Lord. The Lord asked those who waited for him, but after they felt the same surprise from the other person's eyes, they all understood that maybe the other person, like himself, had just received such news. After thinking about this, Pashili and the others felt as if there were turbulent waves in their hearts. Pasiri, Alfredson, and Oldman, who are these 3? One is the Deputy City Lord of Sin City, and the 2 are the Holy Land Venerables of 2 of the 4 major empires in the mainland. Each of them is a 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, standing at the top of the continent's pyramid, a figure who looks down upon all the heroes in the world. But these 3 people, before setting off, were actually ordered by their respective city lords and holy masters to wait for someone's dispatch. This made the 3 of them not shocked. Who is it? The 3 of us can appear here together. The 3 of them were filled with doubts. They each stood still and watched the surroundings vigilantly. You 3, you're on time. At this moment, a cold, sharp and harsh voice suddenly sounded in the void, attracting the attention of the 3 people. Outside the valley, a man in black, wearing a cloak, slowly walked out of the endless darkness and appeared in front of the 3 of them. Who is your excellency? Seeing this person, the 3 Pasali people were immediately filled with vigilance. They shouted in their mouths, and powerful and amazing spiritual energy filled their bodies. As long as something went wrong, they would take action at any time. Jia, you 3, don't be nervous. The man in black cloak walked forward slowly, waved his hand, and a broken jade medal suddenly appeared in his hand, exuding gleaming light. This is the 3 Pasali looked at each other, and then each took out a broken jade token from their body. As soon as the jade token was taken out, it would light up and darken as if it had life and breathing, and then naturally fade away. The lamb man flew up from his hands. The 4 jade tablets were combined in the darkness to form a complete jade tablet. Are you the person that the lord of the city asked me to wait for? Who are you? Pasali frowned and said, while the 2 venerables from the Cairo Empire and the Kamikaze Empire also looked at the cloaked man. Jia jia. The cloaked man let out a cold, shrill laugh, and instantly lowered the cloak that covered everyone. A slightly pale face suddenly appeared in front of the three Pasali people. Jude, is that you? Seeing the appearance of the cloaked man, the three of them seemed to have seen something incredible, and Kofun couldn't help but exclaimed in surprise. Why, you're surprised? The man who was called Jude laughed sinisterly. Since the three of you are here, it is obvious that you have accepted the orders of your city lord and the Holy Master. As for who it is, you don't have to worry about it. Yes, you just need to obey my orders from now on. The three of Pasali looked at each other and said solemnly, then I don't know what orders you have, Jude? Unconditionally obey the orders of the person who came. It was the order given to them by their city lord and holy lord, and the three of them naturally did not dare to disobey it. However, for some reason, the three of Pasali felt that something shocking was about to happen. What are your orders? Jude, the man in black cloak, smiled, and 3 jade slips flew out of his hand and fell into the hands of the three Pasalis. Here is the entire operation, please take a look. I guess. Huh? The three of Pasali first checked that there was nothing wrong with the jade slips, and then they immediately penetrated their spiritual consciousness into the jade slips and read the contents. This said, I don't know what they saw. The expressions of the three people in Pasali changed first, and then turned pale. Then, as 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters and the second largest figures among the 9 major forces in the mainland, their bodies it actually started to tremble slightly. This is impossible. With the 4 of us, there is no way we can complete such a task. Pasali looked at Jude with shock in his eyes, and spoke with trembling lips. Of course we can't complete this task with the 4 of you. At this moment, a majestic voice sounded throughout the world, and then, a tall figure like a demon slowly walked away from the void. Come out and become the only one in this world. Seeing the face of this figure, the 3 people in the valley, Pasali, were completely stunned. Seeing this figure, Pasali's face was suddenly filled with horror, as if he had seen something incredible. Master Tower Master. After this person appeared, Jude, who had a rather arrogant expression before, immediately stepped aside respectfully, like an ordinary guard, clearing the way for the Emperor. The black figure stood proudly in the void, and terrible pressure was continuously released from his body. The 3 Pasalis stood in the valley with respectful expressions, not even daring to take a breath. In fact, the appearance of this adult surprised them so much that their minds went blank for a while. Because this great man is Atkinson, the 2 most powerful forces among the 9 major forces in the mainland, the master of the spiritual master tower in the Twin Towers. In Stern Continent, the reason why there are only 9 major forces instead of 10 major forces is because among the 9 major forces of Twin Towers, 3 cities, and 4 empires, the Tower Lord, City Lord, and Holy Lord are all 9th level advanced ones. Holy Spirit Masters, and other forces, although there are 9th level Holy Spirit Masters, there are no 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Masters. The Twin Towers are called the 2 most powerful among the 9 major forces in the mainland, and there is a reason for it. Although everyone is a 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Master, there are also strengths and weaknesses among the 9th level high-level Holy Spirit Masters. Among them, the city lords of the 3 cities are slightly inferior, the holy lords of the 4 empires are of medium strength, and the Tower Master of the Elixir Master Tower is not much different from the holy lords of the 4 empires. However, the identity of the 9th level low-level Elixir Master destined him to always be 1 point better than the spiritual masters of the same level. However, Atkinson, the master of the spiritual master tower, is much stronger than the city lords and holy masters among the other 8 major forces. If the leaders of the other major forces are 9th level high-level spiritual masters, then, Atkinson is almost equivalent to a 9th level peak Holy Spirit Master, standing proudly on top of the continent. In terms of strength, this great man is definitely the top being on this continent. It can be said that it is not an exaggeration to call Atkinson the strongest among the major forces in the entire Stern Continent. A character like this shouldn't appear here at all, but when they think of the mission they saw in the jade slips first, the three Passalis can't help but tremble in their hearts. What does the spiritual master tower want to do? Unify the whole country? In the previous mission, it was for the three major forces to join forces with the spiritual master tower to kill all the leaders and masters sent by the remaining five major forces and the remaining forces in the bloody trial, and even more so for these forces. The top geniuses among them were all destroyed, leaving no one left. At first, Passali and the three of them could not even imagine such a mission. You must know that the significance of the blood trial is extremely important. The major forces, even the top tower masters, city masters, and holy masters, will not come, but they will also dispatch their respective number 2 or number 3 figures. If they are all captured here, it will definitely severely damage the vitality of the remaining major forces. However, the most vicious thing is to kill all the geniuses. If these team leaders are the pillars of the major forces, once they are killed, they will cause extremely huge damage to the major forces, but they are not the Holy Lord after all. Even if a pillar like the City Lord is killed, a force will not destroy it, but the geniuses who participate in the bloody trial are definitely the hope of the major forces in the future. If they all die in this bloody trial, the damage done to the major forces cannot be undone. Such a difficult task, even if the three of them are 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters, is simply impossible to complete, so they are still hesitant in their hearts. However, after seeing Atkinson's appearance, the three of Passali no longer felt like it. No more ideas. If Atkinson takes action, it is not impossible to complete the shocking task in the jade slip. A person like Atkinson can definitely sweep everything by himself. This time I will take action personally. All you have to do is to do your part. These have been clearly recorded in the jade slips. The tall figure looked down at the three Passalis in front of him. You three, can you do it? Terrifying murderous intent instantly enveloped the three Passali people in front of them. In the face of this terrifying murderous intention, sweat oozed from the bodies of the three Passalis instantly. A hint of fear appeared in their fat eyes, and they said in panic, "Since you are willing to take action, we naturally have no objections." Seeing that, we have no objection. Atkinson Tower Master and Passali have long understood that their City Master and Holy Master have already discussed this matter with each other. The three of them are just agents and have no qualifications to resist, not to mention, if the three of them disagree at this moment, they will be unable to resist in front of Atkinson and will only die. In that case, the three of you should go back and remember to act according to plan. Atkinson said indifferently. Yes. The three Passali said respectfully, then looked at each other, and flew into the sky from different directions, disappearing into the night. The situation on this continent has not changed for thousands of years, and it is time for a change. In the valley, Atkinson murmured softly, and the whole person slowly disappeared into the night. Under the words of Deputy Tower Master Gates, Elder Waterfield and Hall Master Cornelius, disciples like Jason and others who were not too nervous at the beginning, became more and more nervous in the following days. It lifts the heart. In fact, the name of the 7-star sea is so terrifying that many core disciples are trying to inquire about the situation of the boat in the 7-star sea, one of the 7 forbidden areas. And Jason also asked Elder Waterfield and others about the situation in the trial ground. As the leader of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, Elder Waterfield would naturally not be stingy with this aspect. He told each core disciple in detail about the conditions of the trial area that the major forces knew, while some other forces did not know. The exclusive information that the Spiritual Medicine Master Pagoda had discovered was also shared with all the core disciples. Of course, other forces have also discovered content that they have not made public. This is the confidential content of each force. Ever since, in the following days, everyone dived headlong into these information, forgetting to eat and sleep, even the simplest areas such as safety, danger, and extreme danger. Every disciple kept it in mind. The back of the melon is so familiar. No one underestimates this information. It is the core of the seven-star sea. Everything is related to one's own life. If one is not careful during the trial, it is very likely to be doomed. Jason also looked at the trial map given by Elder Waterfield in detail. At just the first glance, Jason was completely stunned, with an expression of disbelief in his eyes. The core area leading to this mysterious restriction is actually not far from the ancient ruins where he obtained the spiritual god's secret in his previous life. Although the markings on this map are not very detailed, and some places are still unclear, Jason clearly remembers the area in the upper right corner of the map marked with a red icon that is the most dangerous and lifeless area. It is the area where he received the spirit in his previous life. The ancient ruins of Shinju are located. After confirming this, Jason's heart was suddenly filled with excitement, and at the same time, he also felt extremely hesitant. Jason, who had never practiced the spiritual god technique in his previous life, naturally did not understand the mystery of the spiritual god technique. However, after discovering the weirdness of the spiritual god technique in this life and the existence of the 9 spirits chi gathering formation in the Jintong Palace, Jason's heart has been full of excitement. Curious, he wanted to explore the ruins where he had obtained the spirit god art, the 9 spirits chi gathering formation, and several 9th-level Holy Spirit potion formulas. However, that area was too dangerous. In his previous life, Jason entered the ruins under the escort of many 9th-level Holy Spirit masters. He still had a narrow escape and almost died in it. In this life, although Jason had despite his experience in his previous life, in terms of strength, Jason, who was an 8th-level intermediate Imperial spiritual master, was much weaker than when he had multiple 9th-level Holy Spirit masters escorting him in his previous life. This is also the most important reason why Jason has never gone to the 7-star sea to explore even though he is extremely curious. Forget it, this time is just a trial. Let's wait until the trial. If there is a chance, try to visit the ancient ruins. If there is no chance, wait until my strength improves again before exploring. In the end, Jason was in a dilemma and made a rash decision. Time flies like water, and years fly by. In the blink of an eye, 5 days passed quietly, and finally, it was time for the trial. Dang dang, early in the morning, a huge bell rang in the entire town where the disciples of the spiritual medicine master tower were located. One by one, the core disciples of Qianxiu flew past their rooms. They came out and gathered in the square in the center of the town. Not only the town where the elixir master tower is located, but also a large number of other surrounding towns. The sound of bells rang almost at the same time, and figures with powerful spiritual power rising from their respective rooms one after another, overwhelming the sky, filled with majesty. In the square in front of the town of the elixir master tower, in a moment, the 20 core disciples who ranked in the top 20 on the elixir list all gathered, and Deputy Tower Master Gates, Elder Waterfield and Cornelius Dianen and the 3 others also stood in front of the square early. Okay, everyone is here. Today is the day when the genius trial begins. Now, all the participating disciples from the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, please follow me. In front of the square. When Deputy Tower Master Gates saw everyone arriving, he immediately let out a loud shout and took the lead in rising into the sky. Whoosh! 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 In an instant, terrifying spiritual energy boiled, and figures exuding turbulent momentum followed closely behind the 3 Deputy Tower Masters of Gates, flying towards the depths of the wasteland. Jason, Lanuigusan, and Cassinus were also mixed in the crowd. From other towns, a large number of figures exuding a terrifying aura flew past, flying towards the same direction at high speed, carrying formations with them. There was a huge sonic boom. With the strength of Jason and the others, their flying speed was naturally extremely fast, but it still took them about half an hour to reach their destination. What appeared in front of Jason and the others was a huge canyon. The entire canyon was tight on the outside and loose on the inside, like an open pocket. Jason and the others immediately landed in the canyon under the leadership of Deputy Tower Master Gates. At this moment, in the open space inside the canyon, many team leaders and participating geniuses from other forces have gathered. After Jason and the others landed, some teams also landed from time to time. At this moment, there is still a certain amount of time before the trial starts. In the open space, many geniuses are looking around, and Jason and the others are also carefully looking at the figures of other forces not far away. There are about more than 300 mainland geniuses who stand out from the major forces in the mainland and can come here. Among them, there are 180 people from the 9 major forces, while all the players from the other forces are about more than 100. Name. Everyone here is a leader among the major forces, but when it comes to the testing sites for the top geniuses in the mainland, they are all among the most talented people. For example, among some disciples who are not among the top forces among the 9 major forces, there are also 7th-level Emperor spiritual masters, as well as some 8th-level low-level and intermediate Emperor spiritual masters. As for the 8th-level high-level Emperor spiritual masters, there are almost few. They are so rare that they are almost rare to see. In comparison, the geniuses from the 9 major forces in the mainland are much stronger. At a glance, just from the fluctuations of spiritual power, there are basically no 7th-level Emperor spiritual masters. The weakest among them is also the 8th-level low-level Imperial spiritual masters. As for the top-level strength like the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, there are almost no 8th-level Emperor spiritual masters. Almost all of the existences that can rank in the top 20 on the spiritual medicine list have reached the 8th level. Intermediate level of Emperor Spiritual Master. When all the geniuses came to the canyon and looked at each other. Look, Fry. It's Fry. He comes from the Holy Land of the Qingtian Empire. He is the #1 genius in the Holy Land of the Qingtian Empire and a peak 8th level Emperor Spiritual Master. I heard that this Fry is a member of the royal family of the Qingtian Empire. Commander, the skills you practice are peerless skills treasured by the royal family of the Wei Tian Empire. They are so powerful that they are incredible. You are a powerful person. Jason walked with Lan Yuigusan, Cassinus, and others. Jason, look. Cassinus pointed to a man in a grey robe in the distance. The man looked like a god, with a faint halo emitting from his body, full of sacred aura, and the spirit around him. The force forms colorful ribbons surrounding it. It's Care. Even though he looks young, he is actually a veteran powerhouse. According to the data, this guy is the well-deserved #1 holy son of the Holy Land of the Cairo Empire. His strength is astonishing. He is an emperor at the peak of the 8th level. Healer, among all the geniuses, definitely has the strength to hit the top 10 in the overall ranking. If you encounter him in the trial, although you don't need to be afraid of him with your strength, you should also be careful. Cassinus gave Jason reminded. Huh? However, when Cassinus introduced Carl to Jason, Jason looked at the sharp man with long blonde hair and a golden robe next to Carl. Is it him? Clark. A smile suddenly appeared on Jason's lips. This man was defeated by Leonardo in the Continental Elite competition 3 years ago. He was a 7th level senior Imperial Master at the time. Clark. In the original Continental Elite competition, Clark rejected the invitations from the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower and the Spiritual Master Tower and returned to the Cairo Empire. Unexpectedly, he would now appear in the Continental Genius Trial, apparently joining the Holy Land of the Cairo Empire. Jason could tell at a glance based on the spiritual power fluctuations revealed by the opponent. After 3 years of not seeing each other, Clark had actually been promoted to the 8th level Intermediate Emperor Spiritual Master. And since he could participate in the Continental Genius Trial, Clark was obviously in Cairo. Jason was quite surprised that there were beings who could break into the top 20 in the Empire's Holy Land. Look, it's the genius of the Alchemist Tower. The woman with green hair must be Lan Yuigusan from the Alchemist Tower. Lan Yuigusan, is she? I heard the elders said it. I heard that this Lan Yugusin has occupied the first place on the spiritual medicine list of the Medicine Master Tower for nearly 10 years. No one is her enemy. If you encounter her in the trial, everyone must be careful. By the way, I heard that in addition to the Blue Moon Gusin, there are 2 powerful masters in the Medicine Master Tower. I heard they are named Cassinus and Edmits. I don't know which 2 they are. Yes, I heard they are 2. He is a master second only to Lan Yugusin, and his strength is extraordinary. When we encounter Zhou Hua, we need to be careful. While Jason and the others were watching the genius disciples around them, masters from other forces were also asking about Jason and the others. There was a lot of discussion about the truth and falsehood on the side of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, especially on the side of the Kamikaze Empire, pointing to the location of Blue Moon Gusin, Cassinus, and Blue Moon Gusin. Your news has fallen behind. Edmiz used to be ranked second on the elixir list. However, in the most recent elixir list competition, Edmiz was defeated by a new core disciple named Jason. Defeated, his current ranking on the spiritual medicine list of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower is the lowest among the core disciples of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower here. Among this group of disciples, a man suddenly walked in. This man was handsome, upright, and had delicate skin, like a piece of mutton-fat jade. There was an inexplicable aura in his movements. Senior brother Paul. Senior brother. The master among the several disciples saluted immediately, showing enough respect, because this Paul is the strongest number 1 holy son in the Holy Land of the Kamikaze Empire, but after hearing this man after speaking, these disciples were all shocked. Is there such a thing? Then where did Jason come from? So powerful and arrogant? I heard that he was a spirit player who joined the last Continental Elite competition. It only took 3 years for the Medicine Master Tower to control the wind and rain in the Medicine Master Tower. The energy is extraordinary and the strength is at its peak. Brother Paul said, so, if you meet this Jason in the trial, you must be careful. Of course, if you have the chance to kill him, you must not hold back. This man is a genius, and his fire level is still shallow. If you can kill him, it can be regarded as eliminating a hidden danger. Okay. Several of the disciples of the Kamikaze Empire looked at each other with murderous intent in their eyes. Jason naturally didn't know the content of the conversation between the disciples of the Kamikaze Empire, so he looked at the genius of the Spiritual Master Tower. Huh? Among the geniuses in the Spirit Master Tower, Jason suddenly saw a familiar figure, and his brows suddenly wrinkled. Jason's eyes fell on the valley, in the direction of the Spiritual Master Tower. There, a young man in a black cloak was staring at Jason with cold, murderous eyes. This familiar figure in a black cloak was none other than Li Fons, the son of the patriarch of the Decker family of the Kamikaze Empire, who had revealed murderous intentions towards Jason during the Continental Elite competition. Although Livens lost in the mainland elite competition, he was still absorbed into the Spiritual Master Tower and became a disciple. It didn't matter, but he was able to participate in this time's genius trial of the major forces, which made Jia Sen was quite surprised. It was no surprise to Jason that Clark was able to participate in the genius trial. After all, the opponent was originally a 7th-level high-level Imperial Spiritualist, and now he has been promoted to an 8th-level Intermediate Imperial Spiritualist. With Clark's talent, this is normal. But this Li Fengzi, who was originally a 7th-level low-level Imperial Spiritual Master, has now been promoted to the 8th-level Intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master, and has become one of the contestants in the Spiritual Master Tower to participate in the genius trial of the major forces. It surprised Jason. Feeling the cold and murderous gaze of the other party, Jason had a smile on his lips, but deep in his smiling eyes, there was a trace of murderous intent passing through. The Decreel family of the Kamikaze Empire and Jason and the others had a deep hatred. The former patriarch of the Dekret family and the core disciple of the Spiritual Master Tower, Hegi, who was an 8th-level advanced dark element Imperial Spiritual Master, he was killed by Wayne. Later, in order to find traces of Wayne, the Decray family even sent Roosevelt, a 7th-level senior imperial spiritual master, and Hoover, a 7th-level intermediate imperial spiritual master, to the Kingdom of Orlando to deal with him. The Todds are aggressive. After Jason returned to the Todd family, he even wanted to fight Jason, and was finally killed by Reno, who had been promoted to the 8th-level low-level emperor spiritual master. Later, after receiving the news, the current patriarch of the Decker family, Lee Fonz's father, Lyndon, an 8th-level intermediate earth element imperial spiritual master, traveled thousands of miles from the Kamikaze Empire to the Northwest countries to prepare, snipe and kill Jason and his son. In the end, he was killed by Jason and Renault together. The hatred of killing his father was irreconcilable, and Livens would never forget it. He always kept it in his mind. Back in the Continental Elite competition, Livens hoped to meet Jason and kill him, but unfortunately he lost early. Now, seeing Jason again, Livens' heart was naturally filled with murderous intent. Jason will naturally not forget such a deep hatred, and he will not foolishly believe in the words turning hostility into friendship. He can't help but sneer in his heart. The last time he let the other party escape, this time, if he meets the other party in the trial, Jason will not either. Show mercy. You escaped death last time, but this time, I'm afraid you won't be so lucky. A slight sneer formed at the corner of Jason's mouth, and he whispered in his heart. At this moment, Jason felt another sharp gaze on him. Jason turned around and saw a few young men with astonishing auras among the talented team of the Muluan Empire. They were looking at him from a distance. The leader among them was the one with long ice blue hair. The defeated #1 genius in the Holy Land of the Salem Empire, Caswall. Jason smiled slightly at the other party as a greeting, and then turned his attention to other places. Although he had fought against Nakaswar once, it was just a competition. Jason would not have any ill feelings towards the other party because of this. What's more, if his disciple Luo Kun had a fight with Naku-Lay in the future, felt of the Sea family became a pair, and became a family with the Naguil's family, and there was no room for ill will. Casper, is this the Jason who defeated you? The slave family heard that he was so popular in the Alchemist Tower. Even Edmets, who was originally ranked second on the Alchemist Tower's list of elixirs, was defeated. He defeated him. Oops, at first, I thought this Jason was just a slightly stronger core disciple of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower. I didn't expect him to be so strong and not bad looking. It's really heartwarming. Jumping around. Behind Caswall, Chi-Du, the second holy son of the Salem Empire, was dressed extremely coquettishly, pinching his orchid fingers and making a coquettish sound. I've heard about Edmes. It said that he was the original #2 figure in the Alchemist Tower. His strength was at its peak and extremely powerful. Caswall, since Jason was able to defeat Edmes, why did you lose to him in the first place? Not unfair. Next to Chi-Du, there was a burly man with fluffy red hair and a humming sound in his mouth. As he spoke, amazing fire spiritual power was emitted, reflecting the profound laws. This man is none other than Damon, the third holy son of the Holy Land of the Salem Empire and the 8th-level senior imperial spiritual master. Yes, Caswall, I heard that your Gura's family has agreed to the marriage proposal of Jason's disciple Loken. After all, this Jason is still your elder, and you can be considered a family. When the time comes, how about introducing this Jason to the slave family? Chi-Du said softly, with an enchanting posture. The other dozen or so geniuses from the Salem Empire around them all felt uncomfortable when they saw a grown man like Chi-Du saying such silly words and making such an expression, even though they were used to it. Goosebumps, but no one dared to show any signs of it. Caswall turned his head and looked at Chi-Du with cold blue eyes. I don't care how powerful Jason is in the Medicine Master Tower. What does my Gura's family have to do with me? I, Casper, will definitely defeat him. I want him to know that I, Casper, will not be weak to him at all. Caswall made a cold sound in his mouth and his eyes were cold. As geniuses from various forces continued to enter, the buzz in the valley became louder and louder, and geniuses appeared one after another in the valley. Jason also looked at everyone carefully and observed their strength. Although many players present were ranked first in their respective forces, among so many forces, only 9 could really catch Jason's eye. Just the top genius of a big force. However, although some of them have great reputations, their real strength is not even as good as Edmund's. They are almost at the same level as Caswall, Cassinus, and Edmund's, and there is no difference. Big. Huh? Suddenly, Jason frowned. A figure flew from outside the valley and landed directly on the genius side of the spiritual master tower. Seeing this person's arrival, all the geniuses affiliated with the spiritual master tower immediately stepped aside, leaving a huge space for this figure to enjoy alone. Quiet. The whole valley suddenly became quiet. Almost all the geniuses present had their eyes on this man. This is a young man wearing a brown robe. He has long brown hair that hangs naturally on the back of his head. He has a long sword hanging on both sides of his waist. His face is expressionless. He just stands there quietly. The whole person is like a big mountain standing tall, giving people a strong, deep and unfathomable feeling. The most peculiar thing is his 2 eyebrows, one fiery red and one earthy yellow, hanging on both sides of his cheeks, with a hint of vicissitudes. Dominique. It's Dominic. The number 1 genius in the spiritual master tower, with both earth and fire elements, the absolute pride of heaven. I heard that although he is only the 8th level peak emperor spiritual master, his special spiritual skills of earth and fire elements make him he can confront a 9th level low-level Holy Spirit master without being at a disadvantage. A general 8th level peak emperor spiritual master, no matter how strong he is, would have a hard time supporting a 9th level low-level Holy Spirit master. After all, the two are in conflict with each other. Their understandings are so different that they are not on the same level at all, but Dominic, who has both earth and fire elements, is different. Dominic has been standing on the spiritual master list of the spiritual master tower for several years. Every time he defeats his opponent, it is easy. Incomparable, his status in the spiritual master tower cannot be shaken at all, and his strength is unfathomable. I am afraid that he should be the strongest genius among the geniuses of all major forces. Not necessarily Lanyu Gusen of the spiritual master tower, although she is a woman, she has dominated the list of elixirs in the alchemist tower for nearly 10 years and has never been defeated. It is difficult to say who is stronger between her and Dominic. It's just the two of them, like Ling. The other people in the medicine master tower and the spiritual master tower, and even the number 1 genius among the other 7 major forces, cannot compare with these two. Various voices of discussion rang out everywhere in the valley, and at the same time, Kale looked grim. The heroic fair, Caswall in a blue robe, Paul with a cold and arrogant expression across the valley, super geniuses from all major forces were all staring at the sword hanging from his waist. Young man in grey. Although they were all extremely proud of themselves as geniuses, meeting Dominic, the first genius of the spiritual master tower, still made many geniuses feel heavy pressure in their hearts. This Dominic MT. Beside Jason, Cassinus curled his lips disdainfully. He had better pray not to meet me during the trial, otherwise, I will make him look good. Lanyu Gusen, you say right? I think you'd better be careful. Don't be chased away by this guy when you meet him. I won't help you. Lanyu Gusen said indifferently. I was chased away by him? Are you kidding me? Cassinus looked dissatisfied. Soon, all the geniuses from all the major forces in the mainland gathered in the valley. After the geniuses from all the forces arrived, there was a bang. Waves of astonishing pressure descended from the sky, and at the same time, a large group of figures exuding overwhelming pressure appeared in the sky, and then landed on the banquet place in front of all the geniuses. Walking at the front of the team were 9 strong men who exuded astonishing coercion. Some were old, some were young, some were men, some were women, some were sharp, some were deep, and Deputy Tower Master Gates of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower and another old man walked among the 9 people. He was the leader from the 9 major forces. He was either the Deputy Tower Master of the Twin Towers, the Deputy City Master of the 3 cities, or the Venerable Lord of the 4 empires. Each one is a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master. With the strength of Jason and the others, no matter where they are in the continent, they are admired by thousands of people and are invincible. As geniuses, they are indomitable and fearless. However, under Gates, Deputy Tower Master, and the rest of the entire continent in front of the most pinnacle figure, all the geniuses present were extremely respectful and showed great awe. Although there is only a small difference between the 9th level Holy Spirit Master and the 8th level Peak Emperor Spirit Master, the difference is more than 1,000 miles. On the mainland, any 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Master can dominate an area and have a noble status. Even when he meets the emperors of the 4 empires, he can neither kneel nor worship, and is aloof. Not to mention 9 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters appearing together. The astonishing coercion they displayed naturally without deliberately releasing it instantly silenced the discussions of everyone present. The entire valley was silent, and no one dared to make the slightest sound. Geniuses from all the major powers in the mainland, welcome to participate in the once-in-a-century genius trial organized by all the major powers in our mainland. A majestic, solemn voice passed into the ears of every contestant. Although this sound was not loud, it contained a unique soul pressure that made the eardrums of everyone present buzz, and at the same time, the depths of their souls also vibrated. The person who spoke was none other than Jiao Luo, the Deputy Tower Master of the Spiritual Master Tower and a 9th level intermediate Spiritual Master. Next to him, Gates, the Deputy Tower Master of the Alchemist Tower, stood proudly on one side. The 2 of them stood in the middle, and then lined up on both sides were Christian, the Deputy City Master of the City of Dawn, and Pasolai, the Deputy City Master of the Sin City. Vice City Lord Douglas of Adventure City, Venerable Oldman of Kamikaze Empire, Venerable Reina of Salem Empire, Venerable Alfredson of Cairo Empire, Venerable Jonathan of Qingtian Empire. In the entire continent, there are only 300 of you who can participate in this kind of trial in 100 years. It can be said that you are the most outstanding geniuses in our era in the entire continent. Being able to participate in the trial itself is a blessing to you. An affirmation from Only. Deputy Tower Master Jiao Luo looked at everyone present calmly. Immediately, we are about to begin the century-old genius trial. The geniuses who can get into the top 10 will receive a huge reward. As for the rewards for the top 3, there are even more unexpected surprises. I can tell you privately that the one ranked first will receive a bottle of 8th grade high-grade Imperial elixir. 8th grade high-grade elixir. Emperor level elixir? Upon hearing these words, all the geniuses present couldn't help but get excited. The 8th level high-grade Imperial level spiritual potion is extremely precious to veteran 9th level Holy Spirit Masters like Jialua, let alone young geniuses like them who are fighting against the major forces. The whole trial is very simple. I think everyone should know something. Deep in the valley where we are, there is a forbidden area leading to the 7-star sea, a forbidden land on the mainland. Our 9 major forces have jointly opened the forbidden area, and you need to enter this forbidden area. The rules of the trial are very simple. In the forbidden area, there are a large number of special materials and terrifying spiritual beasts. All you need to do is to hunt the spiritual beasts and collect materials. When the trial is over, each disciple will receive different point counts based on the quantity and quality of the materials collected. Finally, based on the number of points, they will be sorted and ranked. So this trial is like this of form. After hearing the narration of the Deputy Master of the Spiritual Master Takara, many geniuses present nodded with understanding in their hearts. It is worth mentioning that because of the special nature of this restriction, every player who breaks through the restriction and enters the forbidden area will randomly enter different areas of the 7-star sea forbidden area. Even if 2 people enter at the same time, the places they reach will be different. It's the same, completely random, so once you enter, you need to carefully observe where you are in the forbidden area. There are many dangerous places in this forbidden area, so we specially designed a miniature detector. As he spoke, Deputy Tower Master Jiao Luo immediately took out a button-like thing from his body. Look, everyone, there is a simple spiritual light on this detector. It has 4 colors, green, yellow, orange and red, which represent 4 different meanings. Among them, green means safety. As long as if the detector lights up green, it means that the area you are in has been explored by our major forces. It is a safe area. With your strength, there is basically no danger. If it lights up yellow, it means this area is an unknown area that has not been explored by our major forces. If it lights up orange, you should pay attention, which means that this area has been explored by our major forces and has certain dangerous areas. As for the red light, the face of Jialua Deputy Tower Master suddenly became serious. This means that the area you entered is extremely dangerous, a place where you will survive 9 or even 10 deaths. Therefore, once you find that your detectors are on, when red occurs, you must exit the area you were in at that time. This needs to be remembered by everyone. Okay, that's it for the rules. Now, every player, come up and get a detector. Jiao Luo, the Deputy Tower Master, concluded. On the side, Gates couldn't help but frowned. Jara, it seems you haven't said the time of the trial yet. Oh, I actually forgot about this. Jara laughed. Everyone contestants, the entire forbidden area is open for 1 month. That is to say, after 1 month, the opened forbidden area will be closed automatically. Therefore, your trial time is also 1 month. Within 1 month, you must go to the gathering point of the forbidden area. There, our major forces will review the materials you have obtained, and then uniformly leave the forbidden area. If you fail to arrive in a month, you will be trapped in the forbidden area forever, until you die. I hope you can remember it. Okay, now come up and get the detector, and then everyone will go to the forbidden place in the valley. Jialua said with a smile. On the side, Gates frowned and looked at Jialua again, and said, Jialua, you seem to have forgotten something, right? What else have you forgotten? Jialua was stunned for a moment, then suddenly realized and smiled. Look at my memory. Yes, the rules of the game, I haven't made it clear yet. When we count the materials, we don't care where your materials come from, whether you searched for them yourself or stole them from others. As long as they are handed over to us at the time, they will be counted as yours. Points, so everyone should be careful about any player they meet. Wow. As soon as Jiao Luo said this, the players present were in an uproar. In fact, when Jiao Luo's Deputy Tower Master didn't say it before, everyone was I have already thought of this possibility. This means that there will be bloody battles in the forbidden area. Not only will there be fights between various forces, but there will also be competition between some of the same sex for ranking. While everyone was in an uproar over the news, Jason couldn't help but glance at the Deputy Tower Master Jiao Luo of the Spiritual Master Tower. With his keen observation skills, he had a vague feeling that something was wrong with the Deputy Tower Master of Jialua of the Spiritual Master Tower. As one of the people in charge of this genius trial, he did not fully memorize the rules. He even did it twice and needed Deputy Tower Master Gates to remind him. This is almost impossible to happen. In the valley, everyone got a detector from the staff one by one. While holding the detector, Jason's eyes couldn't help but glance at the 9 intermediate Holy Spirit Masters from the 9 major forces, including Deputy Tower Master Gates and Deputy Tower Master Jiao Luo. When he set his sights on the Vice City Lord of Pasalai in the City of Sin, Venerable Oldman of the Kamikaze Empire, and Venerable Alfredson of the Bingluo Empire, Jason's brows furrowed. What's going on? Why do I feel that the 3 of them are a little nervous? Jason couldn't help but wonder. In terms of strength, Jason, who is an 8th level intermediate Imperial Spiritual Master, is far from the Lord Pasalai and the others, but in terms of observation Jason, who has powerful spiritual medicine skills and has reached the 9th level of low-level spiritual medicine master, is much stronger than ordinary people. From Jason's observation, he could tell at a glance that Deputy City Lord Pasali, Lord Oldman and Lord Alfredson seemed to be a little nervous. This filled Jason's mind with doubts. Who are they, Pasali? They are the top figures in the mainland, 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters. For them, even if they pay attention to this genius trial, they will not be nervous. In Jason's doubtful thoughts, many geniuses who participated in the trial in the valley came to the innermost part of the valley under the leadership of Deputy Tower Master Jia Luo. In the deepest part of the valley, a colorful aurora shines on everyone's faces, like a colorful river, revealing strong spatial fluctuations. Obviously, this is the forbidden area that has been opened and can enter the 7-star sea forbidden area. Seeing this beautiful and gorgeous scene, all the geniuses focused their attention on the colorful aurora, their eyes filled with shock. Contestants, please take your position according to your respective forces and wait to enter the forbidden area, Jia Luo's deputy tower master said. Immediately, each player walked towards the open space before the ban and stood on it. Huh? What is this smell? Just when Jason stepped into the open space, Jason's nose suddenly lifted and he smelled an extremely peculiar smell. Jason immediately sucked in the air hard and wanted to identify what this strange smell is. In the valley, the deputy master of the spiritual master tower, Jia Luo, and Pasali glanced at each other without trace, and then each slowly approached the person next to them. Gates, I don't know if this genius trial will still be dominated by our twin towers like before. Deputy Tower Master Jia Luo came to Gates and said with a smile. Gates' face was full of smiles and his expression was full of confidence. In the last trial, your spiritual master tower won the championship, and our spiritual medicine master tower was only a little bit behind. This time, our spiritual medicine master tower is bound to win the championship. Oh? Jia Luo smiled, with a strange smile showing deep in his eyes. Before the ban, Jason carefully smelled the strange smell in the air, and at the same time looked at the ground where many geniuses were standing. With his keen observation, he suddenly felt that there seemed to be something under the feet of where he stood. It's a little different than the rest of the valley. This is like the spirit-destroying holy formation. Jason frowned and looked at it carefully. Suddenly, he seemed to have seen something incredible, and his heart was filled with shock. Before the restriction, Jason's head, which was carefully watching the ground, suddenly raised, and his eyes looked in the direction of Gates, Deputy Tower Master, and others. Deputy Tower Master Gates, Elder Waterfield, Master Cornelius, everyone in this valley has questions at this moment. Jason hurriedly transmitted his spiritual message to everyone. The soul-extinguishing saint formation is an extremely powerful killing formation. Absolute saint from these two words, it can be seen that the power of the spirit-extinguishing saint formation, once activated, will form a unique space separates the people and metal in the entire formation, causing people to lose direction and fall into it. Then they are slowly obliterated and pushed to the extreme. Even the 9th level Holy Spirit Master can kill them all. The materials used to construct the soul-destroying saint array are extremely rare, and array masters with the ability to construct such a large array are extremely rare on the entire continent, so the probability of their appearance is extremely low. Although they are extremely powerful, they were created later. The number of times it appeared in history was not many. However, the most special thing about the soul-destroying holy formation is not its powerful power, nor its rare materials, but its concealment. For ordinary formations, after the construction is completed, even if it is concealed, some spiritual power fluctuations will dissipate. Although ordinary spiritual masters may not be able to detect it, with the strength of Gates and his 9th level intermediate spiritual masters, they can still detect it. Yes, but the spirit-destroying holy formation is different. The spirit-destroying saint formation is known as the deception formation. Once it is constructed, there will be no fluctuations in spiritual power until it is activated. It is completely invisible to nature and is an excellent assassination formation. It is precisely because of this characteristic of the spirit-destroying holy formation that it is used by the spiritual master tower to ambush many talented disciples. However, the spiritual master tower failed to calculate everything. That is, although the soul-destroying Saint Array will not produce the slightest fluctuation of spiritual power after its construction is completed, the smell of the materials used to construct it cannot be concealed. In fact, the spiritual master tower didn't even think of covering it up, because although these materials would have their own smell, in this valley, after being blown by the strong wind, it would soon be so weak that it would be difficult to detect it. Although Gates and the others were, even though he is a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, he will not notice it at all. Naturally, the Spirit Master Tower does not need to cover it up. However, among the disciples sent by the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, there was a freak like Jason. As the founder of Technical Flow, Jason's attainments in technical flow and spiritual medicine are naturally at the pinnacle and unparalleled. Technical Ling Pharmacy focuses on the observation of the physical form during the preparation process of the reaction of the elixir. The so-called physical form refers to things such as color, smell, state, temperature, weight, density, etc. Therefore, Jason's sensitivity to external smells is far beyond that of ordinary spiritual masters. Even the faintest smell can be captured and distinguished by him. After seeing the powerful formation of the soul-destroying Saint Array, and then thinking about the strange behavior of the Deputy Tower Master of the Spiritual Master Takara, Tsusen's heart was suddenly filled with shock, and he anxiously sent a message to Deputy Tower Master Gates for a few seconds. People. What's going on? Hearing Jason's anxious voice transmission, Deputy Tower Master Gates immediately looked at Jason with doubts. Deputy Tower Master Gates, everyone, this is the soul-destroying holy formation. The geniuses of our major forces are standing under this formation. Jason suppressed the shock in his heart, and did not show a trace of it on his face. His expression was as if he had not noticed any abnormality at all, but in his mouth, the Wings Update team updated the fastest, spiritual power was transmitted to Deputy Tower Master Gates, Elder Waterfield and Hall Master Cornelius. There are Lanyu Gusen and Caswall, 2 of his new disciples. The soul-destroying holy formation? As soon as Jason said these words, Gates, Deputy Tower Master and others were also shocked, but they still tried their best to keep calm on their faces. At the same time, their eyes fell on many people. At the feet of a genius preparing for a trial. Huh? Deputy Tower Master Gates was shocked. With his strength and knowledge of elixirs, it was naturally impossible to single-handedly identify the soul-destroying holy formation known as the Deception Formation, but after receiving Jason's reminder finally, after careful observation, I discovered something was wrong in the valley. In such a special place, such a powerful killing formation appears. No matter who secretly arranged it, they definitely have no good intentions. When I think of all the geniuses from the major forces present, Jean will be trapped in such a formation. At the possibility of being wiped out later, Deputy Tower Master Gates couldn't help but tremble in his heart, and almost lost his composure. But with his powerful strength and cunning thinking, he finally suppressed this shock deeply into his heart. Everyone, something is indeed wrong. Please do not enter the forbidden area. I will find a reason for you to exit the area and stay calm for the time being. As the lightning flashed, Deputy Tower Master Gates made a decision in his mind. After transmitting the message to Jason and others, Deputy Tower Master Gates immediately took a step forward and said loudly to Jason and many other geniuses from the Alchemist Tower, "Disciples of the Alchemist Tower, you will represent us right away. The Spirit Medicine Master Tower has entered the forbidden area of the 7-star sea. Before that, I still have something to say to everyone." On the side, the leaders of other forces looked at Hongzi with doubts in their eyes. Naturally, each force will have instructions for the geniuses of their respective factions, but usually they have all been ordered before. However, Gates, the Deputy Tower Leader of the Spiritual Medicine Master Tower, is still here when the trial is about to begin. To warn everyone, everyone is puzzled. In the open space in front of the colorful Aurora restriction, Jason and Lan Yugusin, a few disciples who knew the inside story, were nervous in their hearts and slowly walked towards Gates' deputy tower master. The other core disciples also following Jason and others, they slowly walked out together. Just when Jason and the others were about to walk out of the range of the soul-destroying holy array, there was a boom. Streams of dazzling spiritual power suddenly rose into the sky from all over the open space. The powerful and terrifying light of spiritual power, wrapped in terrifying monstrous spiritual power, instantly enveloped the locations of all the geniuses of the major forces. And Jason and the others were about to walk out of the range of the spiritual formation, but they were just a short distance away and were also covered by the overwhelming spiritual power. It seemed that the opponent was sure to launch before they walked out. Not good. Jason couldn't help but exclaim, and his heart sank suddenly. The opponent obviously didn't want them, the players of the spiritual medicine master tower, to get out of the range of the spirit-destroying holy formation, and had already activated the formation. For a moment there was a white light in front of Jason and others' eyes, and the whole person seemed to be trapped in a void space. Vertical and horizontal spiritual power was raging from all directions. Jason and others suddenly felt like they were turned into a small boat on the sea. It may be destroyed at any time in the huge waves. What's going on? What is this? In front of the open space where the colorful Aurora restriction is located, all the genius gene from the major forces looked horrified and exclaimed. They were still in the open space in the valley, surrounded by geniuses. The next moment, they came to such a strange space with white light. Their spiritual consciousness could not escape and they could not see anything at all. How could they not be frightened? However, there are still some players who are looking around curiously. They are so nervous that they thought that the 7-color Aurora restriction on entering the forbidden area of the 7-star sea has been activated. They are breaking through the restriction and entering the forbidden area of the trial. What's going on? Not only were the many genius disciples trapped in the formation surprised, but the leaders from the major forces in the mainland in front of the clearing were also full of doubts and shock after seeing the scene in front of them. Obviously, they didn't understand what happened. Everyone, be careful, this is the soul-destroying holy formation. Deputy Tower Master Gates was the first to react and shouted loudly. He was on full alert and reminded everyone at the same time. The soul-destroying holy formation? After hearing the words of Deputy Tower Master Gates, the faces of the leaders of the major forces present, who had heard of this formation, all changed. This is someone who wants to destroy the spirit. Kill all the geniuses from all the major forces present. How come there is a soul-destroying holy array here? Who set it up? Lord Jonathan from the Qingtian Empire immediately shouted angrily. However, before he could finish his words, boom. A terrifying spiritual power suddenly burst out from behind Jonathan. The venerable old man of the Kamikaze Empire who had been standing close to Jonathan suddenly took action, endlessly. The spiritual energy in his body boiled, and Oldman slapped Jonathan hard on his body. When Oldman took action, Venerable Alfredson of the Cairo Empire, Deputy City Lord Pasalai of Sin City, and Deputy Tower Master Jara of the Spiritual Master Tower also aimed at side beside him. Lord Reiner of the Lewin Empire, Douglas, the Deputy City Lord of Adventure City, and Gates Deputy Tower Master, took action. Behind them, the other strong men from the Spiritual Master Tower, Kamikaze Empire, Cairo Empire, and Sin City suddenly took action. For a time, endless spiritual power boiled, and the entire valley was filled with a large number of realms. The world seemed to be doomed, and there was darkness. The terrifying spiritual power penetrated the world. In this sudden attack, almost everyone had no time to react. Oldman, who was the first to take action, slapped Jonathan on the back, carrying the spirit of Oldman's full power. The force instantly penetrated Jonathan's body. Amid the shock of spiritual power, a mouthful of blood spurted out from Jonathan's mouth. Oldman, Jonathan's eyes were filled with horror, and he flew away, looking at Oldman not far away in shock and anger. Venerable Reina of the Salem Empire and Deputy City Lord Douglas of the City of Adventure were also hit by Venerable Alfredson and Deputy City Lord Pasolai, who suddenly struck without warning. They were severely injured, with anger in their eyes. Looking at each other. Only after being reminded by Jason, Gates, who had been alert for a long time, escaped the disaster. He collided heavily with the attack released by Jiao Luo, making a deafening roar. The two retreated and looked at each other from a distance. For a time, many powerful men from various major forces were seriously injured under this sudden attack. After a brief battle, Jialua and other four major forces naturally stood together, while Gates and other masters from other major forces looked at each other in fear and gathered together with vigilance in their hearts. Together. Kara, Oldman, Pasiri, Alfredson, what are you doing? In the void, Gates stood coldly and proudly, looking at each other with anger in his eyes and yelling angrily. What are you doing? Haha, Gates, your question is too funny. On the opposite side, Jiao Luo sneered, of course I will kill you. This continent has been peaceful for too long, and it has too much power. A continent only needs one supreme being. This supreme being will be founded by us soon, and the rest of your forces will naturally need to disappear in the river of history. Kara, our spiritual medicine master tower and spiritual being the master tower, known as the Twin Towers of the mainland, has always been for the purpose of maintaining peace on the mainland. Aren't you afraid of causing a war on the mainland? If you are so treacherous, aren't you afraid of being cast aside by future generations? Gates looked at the other party coldly and spoke angrily. If you don't release the disciples of our major forces from the spirit-destroying holy formation as soon as possible, don't be stubborn, otherwise, you, Kara, will be infamy for thousands of years. Be infamy for thousands of years? Be cast aside by future generations? Spiritual Master Takara, there was a sneer on the Deputy Tower Master's face. History is written by the victors. In future generations, if you are no longer here, who will remember you? Only our victorious side is the only hero of the continent, and is loved by thousands of people. I admire you. But it's a pity that you won't be able to see that day. As for your disciples, there is no need to worry. They are trapped in the spirit-destroying holy formation and will never see the sun tomorrow again. I think you should think about your own safety. Damn it. Deputy Tower Master Gates said angrily, and then looked at Jiao Luo coldly. Ji Luo, do you think that the four major forces of yours can hold up the sky with one hand? Jonathan and the others were injured, but on our side, there are 5 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters, and a large number of 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Masters from other forces. Do you think you alone can kill us? In terms of strength comparison between the two sides, Jiao Luo has 4 the intact 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters, as well as 8 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Masters from the 4 major forces. However, on Gates' side, there are 2 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters, including him and Christian from Dawn City. As well as the traumatized Jonathan, the 3 of them can only be said to be about the same as each other. However, as for the 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Master, although several people were seriously injured and even killed one in the previous sudden attack, they have a large number of others. Gates and the others, who are supported by forces, are still stronger than the Jara side. Really? Jiao Luo laughed strangely. Since we dare to take action, do you think we are not prepared? As soon as he finished speaking, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Counting a sharp sound of breaking through the sky suddenly sounded in the sky, and immediately, several figures with terrifying auras emanating from their bodies slowly landed in the valley. Deputy Tower Master Gates, you're fine. The leader, an old man with gray hair, made a cold voice as soon as he landed. Berkey Kasder, is that you? Gates' expression suddenly condensed, and at the same time he cast his gaze on the figures behind him. Radamandes, Jude, Tim, it seems that you spiritual master's tower, all personnel are mobilized. Gates said coldly, but his heart had already sunk to the bottom after seeing these people. The leader, Boji Kazdar, is the great elder of the spiritual master tower. Like Elder Arudigo of the spiritual medicine master tower, he is a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit master. And this Radamandes is the second elder of the spiritual medicine master. Otto was originally just a 9th level low-level Holy Spirit master, but now he has been promoted to the 9th level intermediate level. As for Jude and Tim, they are the 3rd elder and 4th elder of the spiritual medicine master tower, respectively. They are all 9th level low-level Holy Spirit masters. With the addition of Borjakaster and Radamandes, Jalua's side immediately became 6 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit masters, while on his side, including the 3 seriously injured, there were only 5 intermediate Holy Spirit masters. Seeing this scene, not only Gates, but also Jonathan and others felt a trace of despair in their hearts. Waterfield, Cornelius, the battle will begin later. You two must break the soul-destroying holy formation no matter what, and then ask Jason and the others to run away as far as they can. Gates spoke to the 2 of them, with a trace of determination in his eyes. It's okay for us to die here today, but Jason, Lon Yugusin and others are the hope for the future of our elixir tower. If they all die, if we are here, then our spirit medicine master tower really has no hope at all. Jason and Lon Yugusin are the most outstanding geniuses in the spirit medicine master tower in the past hundreds of years, and they are the hope for the future of the spirit medicine master tower. Gates must not let the 2 of them suffer any losses. Yes. Behind Gates, Waterfield and Cornelius both responded respectfully. However, at this moment, Cornelius, who had an extremely respectful expression on his face, suddenly became extremely expressionless. A ferocious breath was released from his body, and then he punched Gates in front of him fiercely. Cornelius, you on the side. Waterfield noticed this scene and was suddenly shocked. He looked at Cornelius with disbelief in his eyes, and also took action brazenly, charging fiercely. Come over. However, Cornelius's speed was too fast. How could Waterfield have time? He could only watch as Cornelius' punch hit Gates's back. Feeling Cornelius' attack and the surging spiritual power behind his back, Gates, whose whole body had already entered a state of alert, hurriedly turned around and swung his right hand out to block Cornelius' fist, hoping to intercept Cornelius' fist. Rios attack. Boom. The 2 fists collided, making a terrible roaring sound. Gates' body shook violently, his face flushed, and a trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Although Gates, as a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit master, is 1 level higher than Cornelius in strength, he still suffered a slight loss from Cornelius' sudden attack, despite hastily accepting the challenge. Cornelius, you traitor! Waterfield roared, fiercely facing Cornelius, who was knocked away by Gates' punch. The 2 collided in the air. In the huge sonic boom, the void was shattered. Both of them retreated. Cornelius directly used this force to fly towards Jiao Luo, and then turned pale. Fall slowly. After all, Gates' deputy tower master is a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit master. Although Cornelius had the upper hand in the punch he fought with him earlier, he was still injured in the end. Cornelius, why? Gates wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and looked at Cornelius with heartache in his eyes. This Cornelius is the master of the law enforcement hall of the medicine master tower. Gates doesn't understand why he betrayed him and Yen medicine master tower. Why? In the spiritual medicine master tower, I am just an executioner. If this continues, my whole life will be like this. I am not willing to accept it. In the spiritual medicine master tower, I think I will have a better development. Gates, deputy tower master, here, I call you deputy tower master, for the last time, surrender quickly. You are just resisting in vain now. The spiritual master tower will eventually unify the continent and establish a supreme empire. All of them, we will all. He is a founding hero. Cornelius said indifferently. Fart, Cornelius, I'm going to kill you. Elder Waterfield's eyes were red and he spoke angrily. He wanted to step forward but was stopped by Gates. Waterfield, you come to break the formation, it's important to save Jason and the others. Gates' deputy tower master said through the message. Elder Waterfield gritted his teeth. In the end, reason defeated reason and stopped. Cornelius, in the name of the deputy tower master of Lingzai Master Tower, I declare that from now on, you are no longer the master of the law enforcement hall of our elixir alchemist tower, but a traitor of our elixir alchemist tower. Everyone, get it and kill him. Gates looked at Cornelius opposite and said coldly. It seems that you are stubborn, Gates. On the opposite side, Jialua's eyes suddenly became cold when he saw this scene, and then he turned his gaze on Jonathan and the others. Everyone, what about you? You don't want to die. You can surrender, we at the Spiritual Master Tower will definitely welcome it, otherwise, today next year will be your Memorial Day. After hearing Jialua's words, the leaders of many ordinary powerful forces on Gates' side suddenly became agitated. Everyone can see that Jialua's side now has the advantage. If they continue to resist, they will probably die. They are all 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters, and at the worst they are 8th level Emperor Spiritual Masters. They are too used to it. No one wants to die here when they are so high above others. Bah, you want us to surrender, Kara, you go to hell. Lord Jonathan of the Qingtian Empire shouted angrily. Yes, go to hell. Venerable Reina of the Salem Empire and Deputy City Lord Douglas of the Adventure City also shouted coldly and angrily. Okay, you have the backbone. Since you are stubborn, then die here. A ferocious expression appeared on Jiao Luo's face, and he shouted loudly, do it. Boom, followed Jiao Luo. After the words fell, his whole body turned into a stream of light first, and a blue-gray sword suddenly appeared in his hand, aiming at Gates' root and slashing hard. Waterfield, go and break the soul-killing holy formation. Gates shouted angrily, and his whole body faced the fierce attack of Jiao Luo. At the same time, a large number of strong men on the side of the Spiritual Master Tower and Lord Jonathan and others also moved, each rushing towards the other. For a moment, the terrifying pressure was released, and the sky was covered by overwhelming spiritual power. The two sides instantly fought together. Boom! The monster spiritual power boiled. At this moment, the entire sky was about to collapse, and the entire valley seemed to have reached the end of the world. Think about it, 11 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters and dozens of 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters attacked together. What kind of concept is this? What kind of scene is it? It can be said that at least 1/3 of the powerful Holy Spirit Masters on the entire continent are now concentrated here. Except for the leaders of the 9 major forces who did not appear, the group of people present are the most powerful ones on the entire continent. The top group of people are the most powerful force in the mainland. With their strength, if they launch a war on the mainland, they are enough to directly wipe out and subvert any of the 4 empires. Any one of them is the overlord of one party and a heroic existence. In the valley, spiritual powers of various colors and attributes boiled, and powerful mysteries of laws continued to shine. Domains of various attributes collided with each other, causing rumbling explosions, shattering the void, and forming a mighty and terrifying scene. If it weren't for the extremely special nature of this place and the powerful restrictions set up by some great power in ancient times, I'm afraid that with just one move from these powerful men, this valley would have been destroyed forever. When Deputy Tower Master Gates and Deputy Tower Master Jiao Luo were fighting together, Elder Waterfield rushed towards the existence of the soul-destroying holy formation like lightning. In addition to him, there were also some other forces. The strong ones also rushed towards this formation. What is trapped in this great formation is the most outstanding geniuses of the major forces. They are the hopes and future heirs of the major forces. Their existence is even more precious than the powerful veteran Holy Spirit masters like them, absolutely cannot fall into this valley. Want to break through the spirit-destroying holy formation? Haha, don't even think about it. However, before Waterfield could rush to the formation, several figures rushed in front of Waterfield and the others and stopped them. One of the leaders was Jude, the third elder of the spiritual master tower. Elder Waterfield's expression suddenly changed, and the long sword in his hand instantly turned into an aurora, slashing towards the spirit-destroying holy formation in the open space that was constantly emitting shocking spiritual power. The bright sword light connected the heaven and the earth, destroying everything, as if a high mountain fell from the sky and blasted towards the spirit-destroying holy formation. Humph! Elder Jude snorted coldly, and a sneer bloomed from the corner of his mouth. The long whip exuding black mist in his hand shook, and the strange long whip continued to rotate, like a huge black python, and Walter, the wing-spreading update team updates the fastest. The shocking sword light released by Elder Field collided instantly. Boom! Terrible spiritual power erupted, and the rumbling explosion sound extended. The void directly shattered and opened a huge hole, revealing a dark space crack, and then disappeared. Waterfield, I think you should consider your own comfort now, Jia. Elder Jude was suspended in front of the soul-destroying holy formation, his whole body shrunk in his black cloak, and electricity shot out of his eyes. The cold and vicious light glanced at the people who wanted to attack the soul-destroying holy formation, and a sneer appeared on the corner of his mouth. You are so interested, there is actually an idle worker who takes care of the comfort of others. To tell you the truth, every one of you, we are all going to die today. As soon as he finished speaking, Elder Jude waved the strange long whip in his hand and blasted it directly towards Elder Waterfield, while several people behind him also rushed towards the others who wanted to rescue the soul-killing people. The strong disciple of the absolute holy formation. Damn it. Elder Waterfield's eyes were red and full of anger, but he had no choice but to fight with Jude. There was chaos in the valley outside, and when the masters of the major forces were fighting with each other, in the soul-destroying holy formation boom. At this moment, Jason was in a vast white space, moving vertically and horizontally. Powerful spiritual power raged from all directions, constantly washing over Jason's body, threatening to completely obliterate him. The soul-destroying holy formation, damn it. Jason, who was constantly surging in the overwhelming spiritual energy, looked around with anger in his eyes. He knew a lot about the formation, so he naturally knew the meaning of this soul-destroying holy formation. Horrible. Any spiritual master who falls into the spirit-destroying holy formation will be washed away by the spiritual power from all directions, and the energy contained in these spiritual powers will become more and more powerful until all the spiritual masters trapped in it will be destroyed. Complete obliteration. Depending on the materials used and the energy it activates, the soul-destroying Saint Array is also divided into several levels. The weakest one can only kill ordinary 8th-level, low-level Emperor spiritualists, while the strongest, perfect level, even the 9th-level high-level Holy Spirit Master, can kill them. I hope the spirit-destroying holy formation is not the strongest and perfect level. Otherwise, I will give a complete explanation here today. Otherwise, even if it is a difficult level that can kill the 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, I still have hope. Crack it. In the vast white space of nothingness, Jason prayed secretly in his heart and observed carefully. The intensity and distribution of the spiritual power that was rushing towards him crazily around him were constantly being calculated in Jason's mind. He wanted to determine what level the fire spirit absolute holy formation he was currently trapped in was. If it is the strongest and perfect level that can kill even the 9th-level senior Holy Spirit Master, no matter how much Jason knows about the formation, he is an 8th-level intermediate Imperial Spirit Master, and he will have no choice but to wait for death. If it is at other levels, Jason can at least use appropriate methods to crack it. Time passed slowly, one after another, and the wing-spreading update group updated the fastest. The data kept passing through Jason's mind. Finally, after an unknown amount of time, Jason's eyes, which had been deeply calculating and thinking, emitted two colorful rays of light, and then a trace of light appeared in his eyes. Happy. This spirit-extinguishing Saint Array can only kill 9th-level low-level Holy Spirit Masters at most, which is equivalent to the 3rd level of difficulty. After complex calculations, Jason finally identified the level of the spirit-extinguishing Saint Array. At the same time, a large number of methods to crack this difficult formation also passed through Jason's mind at high speed, and then were filtered one by one. Yes, use this method, just do it. Finally, Jason found a reasonable solution, and his face suddenly showed joy. The next moment, Jason's expression became extremely pious, and a terrifying force surged out of his body, and his body suddenly started to move in this white void space. Boom! The violent power dissipated. At this moment, Jason's entire figure seemed to have become a colorful god. He aimed at different directions in the void and fired 16 punches in succession. Each of these punches contains different spiritual powers and mysteries, which are constantly surging out in this void formation space. It's here. In the void, Jason carefully felt the message sent back by his blast, and finally, he suddenly looked in a direction on the right side of his body. La! The black heavy sword behind Jason suddenly appeared in his right hand. Jason instantly activated the spiritual god art in his body to its strongest level. At the same time, the 5 elements law was activated and aimed at the right direction, and slashed away with a sharp sword. The 5 elements arise and die, creating the world. Jason made a rumbling sound in his mouth, and the black heavy sword in his hand instantly turned into a 5-color angry dragon, slashing directly into the void. Boom! The overwhelming spiritual power surged, and the entire white void space continued to turbulence under Jason's blow. The originally rich white mist dissipated under Jason's blow. Go to hell. Damn it. Where am I? Where did these terrible spiritual powers come from? As the white mist dissipated, one after another was either distant or very close. The roars were transmitted to Jason from all directions, and they turned out to be the roars of the genius disciples who were trapped by Jason in the soul-destroying holy formation. Originally, once the soul-extinguishing holy formation was activated, all the spiritual masters trapped in it would enter a unique space, and it would be impossible for them to meet together. However, under Jason's previous bombardment, this soul-destroying holy formation spread its wings and updated the group updates the fastest. There is already a trace of damage, and the power has weakened a lot. The people inside can even hear their own roars from each other, but it is as if they are extremely far apart, and it is difficult to touch each other. Lanuigusan, Cassinus, can you hear my voice? All the disciples of the Medicine Master Tower, I am Jason, can you hear my voice? In this thin white space, Jason, who was still being attacked by a large amount of powerful spiritual energy, let out a huge roar. The roar was like thunder, constantly transmitted in the empty space. Who is talking? Senior Brother Jason, it's Senior Brother Jason. As Jason's roar fell, some shouts suddenly sounded around Jason, but these shouts seemed to be extremely far away and sounded quite weak. Jason, I'm Edmits. I can hear your voice. Where are you? Jason suddenly heard a quite clear voice in his ear, and it turned out to be Edmits. Jason, I'm here. I'm here too, but I can't see you. At the same time, the voices of Cassinus and Lanuigusan also rang in Jason's ears. Although they, the disciples in the spiritual medicine master's tower, were divided into different spaces after falling into the soul-destroying holy formation, they were close to each other before they fell into it, so the spaces they were in were also very close. After the soul-destroying holy formation was weakened by Jason, as long as they roared loudly, they could already hear each other's voices, but they couldn't see each other at all. Like ordinary disciples, they could only vaguely hear Jason's voice. Sound, and Lanuigusan, Cassinus, and Edmes, the 3 strongest experts, can already communicate with each other through sound. Okay, very good, Edmes, everyone, we are now trapped in a formation called the soul-destroying Holy Formation, and the wing spreading update group is the fastest updated. Don't panic now, I will shout for action later. When the time comes, you will use all your strength to attack in the direction I said to break this formation. Let's gather everyone first. Lanuigusan and Cassinus don't need to be reminded. Demi-Eyes briefly told the story. Okay. Edmund's response came from the white void space, and immediately, the shouts of Cassinus and Edmund were heard. Listen to all the disciples who are trapped in the formation. We will attack together to break the formation later. Wait for the order and attack together to break the formation. A rumbling voice echoed in the void space. It's the voice of senior brother Cassinus. And the voice of senior brother Edmund. I also heard the voice of senior brother Jason before. Everyone stopped attacking. It seems that several senior brothers are about to break through. Formation. Let us obey the order and attack together later? Senior brothers, we heard it. Just give us your orders. In Jason's ears, the faint voices of some disciples could be faintly heard. Okay, I'll count to 3, let's use all our strength and take action together. Jason shouted loudly. On the count of 3, take action together. Cassinus and Edmund also followed Jason and started shouting. In addition, other disciples of the Elixir Master Tower who heard the sound also shouted loudly. 1. Jason roared. 1. These disciples shouted together. 2. Gradually, more and more disciples joined in the shouting, and the entire void space suddenly resounded with the roars of many disciples of the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, and even the core disciples of other forces in other areas also heard the shocking roar. 3. Jason's face turned red and he roared completely. The black épée in his opponent's hand suddenly aimed at the previous position and slashed it down hard. Attack! As his words fell, a deafening roar suddenly sounded throughout the void space. All the disciples who heard Jason's orders launched their strongest attacks at the same time. Rumble! Under this blow that gathered the full strength of countless disciples, the originally powerful void space suddenly began to shake. Then, waves of subtle explosions continued to sound in the void, and in front of Jason's eyes the vast white space was completely shattered. In the valley, fierce battles continued, and the entire valley was already a mess and the land was stained red with blood. Both sides were evenly matched, and members of each team died. About 20 corpses were thrown into the valley, dripping with blood, with their heads in different places, and their limbs and arms broken. There were also some people, even more, there were no bones left and they were blown to pieces. The vast majority of these fallen people were not members of the 9 major forces, but leaders of other top forces in the mainland. In this genius trial, each force sent 3 people, for a total of 15 forces, about 45 people. Adding in the few people who arrived from the Spiritual Master Tower later, there were about 50 people in the entire valley. Strong. Among them, the general leaders of the 9 major forces are all 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters, and the 2 deputy leaders are usually 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters. However, the other 6 top forces are not so powerful. The leaders are, at most, there are only 9th level low-level Holy Spirit Masters. As for the deputy leaders, most of them are 8th level Peak Emperor Spiritual Masters, and there are even 8th level high-level Emperor Spiritual Masters. In such a battle, the 8th level high-level and even Peak Emperor Spiritual Masters are absolutely cannon fodder. Except for a few 8th level Peak Emperor Spiritual Masters whose strength is barely close to the 9th level low-level Holy Masters, they can still hold on for a while. In addition, most of the other 8th level Emperor Spiritual Masters died in just a few encounters. There were originally 50 strong men in the valley. In this short battle, the Wings Update team updated the fastest. Among them, more than 20 people have died, and there are less than 30 people left. The vast majority of them fell from gates and his side. As for the Jura side, only 4 people died, and Gates and his side the remaining people were all covered in blood and scars. In fact, Jialua's side came well prepared. There were 6 ninth-level intermediate Holy Spirit Masters, one more than Gates' side. For more people on Gates' side were seriously injured, so how could they resist? Haha, Gates, stop making unnecessary resistance and surrender. I can leave you intact. The deputy master of the spiritual master, Takara, kept shouting. The gray sword in his hand kept splitting the void and blasting towards where Gates is. Damn it! Gates' eyes were split with anger, his eyes were round with anger, blood was leaking from his eye sockets, and he was covered in blood. However, what makes Gates even more desperate is that Jason and others who are trapped in the soul-extinguishing holy formation will probably die in the soul-destroying holy formation because they cannot get help. Perhaps they have already fallen by now. Okay, when I think of this, Gates's heart hurts like a knife. Master Tower Master, Gates is incompetent and will become the sinner of the elixir tower. Gates was filled with despair. At this moment, boom. The spirit-extinguishing saint formation, which was constantly emitting astonishing fluctuations of spiritual power, actually emitted the roar of a giant dog, and then, the spirit-destroying saint formation exuding an astonishing aura, it started to shake continuously, and then, the entire soul-extinguishing holy formation was like a collapsed building. Amidst the rumbling roar, it completely shattered, revealing a large number of figures. It was Jason and the others who broke through the spirit-destroying holy formation. As soon as the spirit-destroying saint formation was broken, all the disciples from the 15 major forces were revealed, with confusion in their eyes. However, of the 300 disciples who participated in the trial at the beginning, only about 300 disciples were left. 200 people, and the remaining more than 100 people, had already died under the bombardment of the powerful spiritual energy flow of the spirit-destroying holy formation before the previous formation was broken. The vast majority of the more than 100 people who died were disciples of the 6 remaining top forces, and there were also a small number of disciples from the 9 major forces, including the Spirit Medicine Master Tower, City of Dawn, City of Adventure, Qingtian Empire, and Salem Empire. The weaker disciples, as for the disciples of the 4 major forces on the side of the Spiritual Master Tower, although they were also trapped in the spirit-destroying holy formation, they did not suffer any losses. As soon as the soul-destroying holy formation was broken, Jason and the others looked towards the valley where the battle was taking place. Everyone, including Jason, was shocked at this sight. The tragic scene, the powerful spiritual power that was constantly dissipating in the holy realm, and the huge coercion made all the disciples who had just broken through the formation and had no idea what happened go blank in their minds. Not only were these disciples shocked, but after seeing Jason and the others actually breaking through the soul-destroying holy formation, Gates, Jiao Luo, and others who were in the middle of the battle, the wing-spreading update team updated the fastest. At this moment, everyone was stunned for a moment. Immediately, both sides reacted at the same time and issued different orders. Everyone, run away quickly. Gates and others roared at the location of Jason and his disciples. All disciples from the Spiritual Master Tower, Cairo Empire, Kamikaze Empire, and Sin City listen and kill all the disciples from all other forces without mercy. Deputy Tower Master Jiao Luo and others also roared and issued the order. The nearly 200 surviving disciples looked at Z with blank expressions, and then their eyes revealed shocking murderous intent. With their minds, they understood what happened in the valley in just a moment. Suddenly, the eyes of these disciples turned red and they looked at the disciples of the hostile forces. Ah! Suddenly, I don't know who yelled in an instant. All the genius disciples who participated in the trial were like powder keg being exploded, with amazing spiritual energy erupting from their bodies, violently impacting each other. Various spiritual attacks flew past each other and attacked both sides. In just one encounter, 10 disciples were killed and dozens more were injured in different ways. Kill. At this point, there was no need to say anything. On the side of the Elixir Master Tower, Jason, Lan Yuigusen, and Cassinus looked at each other, with overwhelming murder in their eyes. With his intention, he fiercely charged towards the disciples of the four major forces on the opposite side. The terrifying spiritual power was instantly violent. A disciple from Sin City had just killed a disciple of the six top forces. He accidentally met Jason. With his self-confidence swelled, he split the void with the sword in his hand. Waved directly towards Jason's location. Seeking death. Chusand shouted loudly in the void. A multicolored rainbow flashed out from his eyes, and the black épée in his hand roared directly at the opponent like a black anger. Boom! A huge explosion sounded. Under Jason's hard blow, the sword in the hand of the Sin City disciple was instantly shattered. His bloodthirsty eyes suddenly widened, and then in his incredible eyes, it was split in half by Jason's sword, and blood was thrown into the sky. Jason hit a hit, and Bing wanted to take action again. Suddenly, an extremely cold murderous intention enveloped him instantly. Jason immediately turned around and saw that, not far away, Levanzi was looking at him with a pale face. His eyes were like those of a demon from the netherworld, full of murderous intent and madness. On the spiritual staff in Levan's hand there was dazzling blood flowing, intertwined with strange runes. Terrifying spiritual power continued to spread from his body, and the wing-spreading update group updated the fastest. The shocking black mist spread, and Levins looked at Jason, standing proudly in the sky. A series of obscure and mysterious spells came from his mouth. As he spoke, the dark energy in the whole world was crazy. Gathered together, the terrifying coercion spread out, shaking the world. At this moment, Levins' whole person had already turned into a black sun. Darkness, and a black mist with a strong killing aura spread out from his body. A voice filled with coldness sounded across the world. 9 nether hells of dark elements. Boom! A black ripple exuding an astonishing aura shot out from the head of the spiritual staff in Levins' hand, aiming at Jason's location and swiping away. In an instant, the entire sky was plunged into darkness, and in Levins' cold, hateful eyes, Jason was swallowed up in an instant. The attack launched by Levins continued to spread. For a time, in addition to Jason, many members of other forces around him were also filled with this black mist. Ah! These disciples let out painful wails as soon as the black mist spread to them. At the same time, the spiritual power emanating from their bodies was constantly corroded by the black mist. In an instant, horrible wounds appeared one after another, and they continued to spread. What is this? Get out of my way. Damn it, ah! Levins, what are you doing? Many disciples shouted, retreating like locusts. Under the indiscriminate attack, even several disciples from the 4 major forces in the same camp as him were swept away by this attack. There was even a disciple from the spiritual master pagoda, and their bodies began to fester one by one. Looking at Levins' eyes, full of shock and anger. However, Levins' face was not moved at all, and his eyes were filled with murderous intent as he looked at Jason's location. Die! Levins screamed silently in his heart. At this moment, all the spiritual power in his body became violent. The monstrous black mist surged in the void like a tsunami, and in the center of the void, there was it's where Jason is. It's over for Jason. Seeing this scene, many disciples from other major forces present felt palpitations in their hearts. At the same time, their eyes widened and they looked at the black mist with regret. Many of the disciples who were previously forced back by the black mist of Lifans were 8th-level intermediate emperor spiritual masters, and even 2 were 8th-level senior emperor spiritual masters. Under the black mist of Lifans, under the attack, he had to retreat temporarily. Now, Jason was completely swallowed up by the black mist, and there was no way he could survive. At this moment, one of the 5 elements of reincarnation creates the world. A cold voice came out from the black mist of nothingness. Boom! Endless spiritual power exploded, and the terrifying breath continued to radiate out. In the sky that was originally filled with black mist, the boundless mist suddenly began to shake, like a black dragon trapped in it. The water pool was constantly churning, and a series of explosions were heard at the same time. In the sky, Levanzi, who originally had a smile on his face, suddenly froze his expression, his eyes widened, as if he had sensed something, and he looked in disbelief. In everyone's eyes, a colorful ray of light shines out from the boundless darkness, like the first light of dawn in the dark night, illuminating the whole world. A streak of multicolored sword energy, connected to heaven and earth, suddenly slashed across the ring, and the boundless darkness melted away. Amidst the huge roar, the five-color mist continued to dissipate. The multicolored sword energy swept across the invincible and was directly aimed at Livens. The location struck hard. "And seal it for me." Levanzi's eyes were ferocious, he roared in anger, and waved the spiritual staff in his hand, constantly releasing black mist that twisted like a giant python, wrapping around the five-color sword energy, and the same well stabilize the ever-shaking black mist. But it was useless. Under this colorful sword energy, the black mist released by Livens was like the white snow under the sun, which collapsed in an instant like a chicken or a dog. The five-color sword energy broke through the black mist without losing force, and directly struck the black spiritual staff in Livens' hand. Bang! A deafening roar sounded. The spiritual staff in Livens' hand exploded instantly and turned into fragments all over the sky. At the same time, his whole body was thrown away. The black cloak on his body also exploded, and black cloth pieces filled the sky. Splashes and blood continued to spurt from his mouth, and there was a deep sword mark on his chest, reaching as deep as the bone, and blood continued to spurt out. The endless black mist dissipated, and a figure wrapped in black alder armor and with colorful barriers around him slowly walked out of the void in front of everyone's shocked eyes. This figure is none other than Jason, who was trapped earlier. Lefons. Jason's eyes were coldly fixed on Lefons, and he uttered a cold voice filled with murderous intent, "Just die." After the words fell, Jason instantly turned into a five-color stream of light and held his hand in his hand. The black heavy sword rushed towards Livens fiercely. Livens hated him extremely and wanted to kill him, so did Jason. Not good. Seeing Jason's heroic performance, Livens was so frightened that he turned into a black stream of light and wanted to escape from this place. The previous move was Livens' strongest trick, but it was easily broken by Jason. Livens was not an idiot. He already understood that he was no match for Jason. Want to escape? A sneer burst out from the corner of Jason's mouth, and his figure suddenly accelerated in the air. He waved the black épée in his hand. Just when he was about to catch up with Levanzi, he said, "Well." A voice exuding a terrifying aura, the figure suddenly appeared in front of Jason. This was a young man with long brown hair and wearing a brown robe. In his hands each held a long sword, one khaki and one fiery red. As soon as he appeared in front of Jason, he showed an astonishing expression. Aura aimed at Jason and struck with two swords. Boom! Two dazzling rays of light burst out from the two long swords. One was extremely deep, like a mountain, and the other was extremely violent, like a volcano erupting. Two monster sword energies came to Jason in an instant, as fast as lightning. Humph! Jason snorted coldly, swung the black heavy sword in his hand, turned into a black angry dragon, and collided fiercely with the two sword lights. Boom! In the deafening roar, the void directly shattered and opened a huge space hole. A magnificent spiritual power poured into Jason's body like a flood. Under the bombardment of this power, Jason's whole body was directly shaken. He stepped back more than 10 meters and looked at the young man opposite him with solemn eyes. The young man's body swayed twice under Jason's attack, and he also fell back more than 10 meters. Both of them looked at Jason with fighting intent. This brown-haired young man was the #1 genius in the Spiritual Master Tower, who had occupied the first place for several years and was unmatched by anyone. The two of them, Dominic, faced each other far away in the void, each bursting out with endless fighting intent. There was no conversation, and the next thing they knew, the two were fighting together again. Violent roars continued to sound in this world. Jason and Dominic continued to fight hard, each erupting with the most thorough fighting power. The five-color divine rainbow kept colliding with the two rainbow lights of earthy yellow and fiery red, and the void was filled. The collapse of the piece and the shock wave that rippled out shook some nearby 8th level intermediate and even advanced disciples from other forces, causing them to tumble and push them far away. In fact, the spiritual energy fluctuations generated by the battle between the two were too powerful, and it was difficult for these ordinary disciples to resist them. Such a shocking battle made all the disciples focus on the battle between the two. Under the gaze of countless people, Jason and Dominic were fighting like tigers for a while, evenly matched. What, this Jason can actually fight to a tie with senior brother Dominic? After seeing the battle between the two, all the disciples in the spiritual master tower were shocked, and Lavanzi, who escaped from death, was even more shocked. His mouth was opened wide, too horrified to say a word. Dominic's power has left an indelible impression in the hearts of all the disciples in the spiritual master tower over the years. In their opinion, although Jason is strong, under the hands of senior brother Dominic, there were no moves at all, but the result at this moment shocked them all. But soon, they all recovered from the shock. They were in the middle of a battle and couldn't be too distracted, otherwise they might be killed by others at any time. For a moment, the brutal sound of fighting resounded again in the area where the disciples of the major forces were located. Among all the disciples on the side of the spiritual master tower, Dominic is undoubtedly the number one in terms of strength. Because Livens is the direct disciple of Elder Radamandes, that's why Dominic suddenly appear. Originally, in Dominic's mind, killing Jason, a disciple of the alchemist tower, was extremely easy and could be solved in just a few moves. However, Jason's power was far beyond that. What he didn't expect was that he was evenly matched, and even he had a vague feeling that he couldn't resist it, which filled Dominic's heart with shock. Because Dominic, the number one master of the spiritual master tower, was restrained by Jason, Lanuigusan, Cassinus and others all rushed into the spiritual master tower like wolves and tigers from the four major forces. Among the core disciples, the screams resounded throughout the world. Under the sweep of Lanuigusan and the others, the disciples of the four major forces fell one by one, which was shocking. In fact, in terms of strength, there is not much difference in strength between the core disciples in the spiritual medicine master tower and the spiritual master tower. It can be said that they are evenly matched. However, the core disciples from the spiritual medicine master tower are fundamentally different from the core disciples from the spiritual master tower. The aspect that is difficult to reach is the elixir. In the elixir master tower, every core disciple is not only a powerful elixir master, but also a powerful elixir master. Each of them has reached the 7th level of elixir master in terms of attainments in elixir medicine. Every disciple all have life-saving elixirs, and at this critical moment, they all take them. Powerful elixir essences soared into the sky, giving people an unspeakable shock. On the leader side, the spiritual master tower side, which has 6 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit masters, suppresses the spiritual medicine master tower gates side, but on the disciple side, Jason and the others suppress the 4 major forces on the spiritual master tower side. Core disciple. Damn it. Seeing this scene, Jiaoluo's deputy tower master couldn't help roaring. Radamandes, go support Dominic and the others and kill all the disciples of the spiritual medicine master tower. Jiaoluo spoke fiercely with a fierce look in his eyes. Okay. On the side of the spiritual master tower, Lafonzi's master, the second elder of the spiritual master tower, Radamandes, whose strength has reached the 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit master, said in agreement, and rushed towards Jason and the others. Damn it, Radamandes, don't even think about it. Seeing this scene, Gates went completely crazy. A bottle of elixir exuding powerful pressure suddenly appeared in his right hand, and then he quickly opened the bottle cap. Took it in one sip. Boom! A powerful spiritual aura suddenly shot up from Gates' body. At this moment, the spiritual aura in Gates' body continued to rise. His eyes became red and his body was slightly swollen. This is a bottle of 8th level, middle grade Emperor level overdraft potion. It can greatly improve a spiritual master's strength in a short period of time. However, its side effects are also very obvious. Once taken, it will cause harm to the spiritual master. Permanent damage. But at this critical moment, Gates couldn't control it, because he knew that once Radamandes, a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit master, was allowed to break into Jason and the others, it would be a massacre. Jason and the others' strength couldn't stop Radamandes at all. Stop. After swallowing the overdraft medicine in one gulp, Gates' eyes were red and he roared angrily, then he rushed towards Radamandes. Humph, Gates, your opponent is me. Opposite Gates, Jalua snorted coldly, and the grey sword in his hand suddenly slashed out, and a grey sword light instantly cut through the void and came to Gates' side. In front of you. Get away. Gates roared, the sword in his hand trembled, making a buzzing sound, and struck directly on the grey sword light. Boom. The sword light was instantly shattered by Gates' chop. Gates' figure did not stop at all, and stopped in front of Radamandes. At the same time, he aimed his sword at Radamandes' location and slashed away. Hey! The terrifying sword light cut through the void and came to Radamandes in an instant. Humph, the bondage of darkness. Radamandes snorted coldly, and two black spiritual lights shot out from his eyes, which collided with the sword light released by Gates. The two collided in the void, and then directly disappeared. This madman. Kara and Radamandes gathered together and looked coldly at Gates, who was looking at them crazily on the other side. With one person, he wants to block the two of us? I think he is trying to looking for death. He thought he was taking a 9th level holy elixir? Gates' eyes were red and he was breathing heavily. Immediately, he turned his head sharply, pointed at Jason and the others and roared, Lanuigusan, Jason, you run away quickly, don't get entangled here, I'll buy you time, run away quickly. Then, Gates looked at Jonathan and others, not far away. Everyone, if this continues, we will all die here. Don't hold back anymore. Fight with Jalua and the others to give our disciples from all major forces time and opportunities to escape. In the distance, Jonathan and others who were seriously injured where he was covering his chest, with blood at the corner of his mouth, and then looked behind him at the disciples of his own force who were fighting bloody battles in front of the colorful aurora restriction, with a trace of fierceness flashing in his eyes. Because they understand that if this continues, if they are seriously injured and cannot hold on, then the disciples who are fighting behind them will also be wiped out, and no one will be able to survive. All disciples, listen to the order, don't get entangled, and run away as far as possible. Jonathan and other leaders of several major forces all let out shocking roars. As the words fell, the next moment, Jonathan and the others broke out. Boom! Terrible spiritual power rose from their bodies. Before the crisis of life and death, they ignored each other's comfort and fought desperately with each other. Originally, they were seriously injured and were at a disadvantage in the battle with Jalua and the others, struggling to hold on. However, once they tried their best, Jalua and the others were unable to bear it. Escape quickly. Jonathan and the others roared at the top of their lungs, charging forward desperately to give the disciples of their own faction room to escape. Escape! Sir Jonathan, let us escape. Deputy Lord Christian, let us escape first. We are a burden if we stay here. Many disciples stopped when they heard Jonathan's roar. After fighting, like locusts, they rushed up one by one and rushed out of the valley. With so many disciples flying by together, the momentum was simply astonishing. The strong men on the side of the spiritual master tower had no time to intercept them. As for the disciples on their side, there was not much difference in strength between them. One of them wanted to escape, but the other side didn't even have time to intercept them. Can't stop it. In just one encounter, nearly 10 figures broke through the blockade and rushed out of the valley like lightning. The leader of them was none other than the first holy son of the Wei Tian Empire, an 8th-level peak emperor, spiritual master. Fry. Damn it. Seeing this scene, Jiao Luo and others suddenly roared in anger. Originally, their plan was to trap the geniuses of the major forces into the soul-extinguishing holy formation and kill them all. As for Jonathan and other leaders of the major forces, they would slowly take care of them. However, they did not expect that the soul-destroying holy formation would not know about it. Why was it broken open? This also immediately led to the fact that Jialua and the others were short of manpower and wanted to intercept, but Gates and the others, the leaders of the major forces, were fighting desperately regardless of their lives, leaving Jialua and the others to frequently resist and unable to intercept at all. Okay. Seeing that Fry was the first to rush out and was about to escape from the valley, Jonathan, who was the venerable of the Wei Tian Empire, suddenly showed an expression of joy on his face. The first holy son of the Holy Land of the Empire is the hope of the future of the Wei Tian Empire. As long as he can escape from here, even if other disciples cannot escape, the future of the Wei Tian Empire will not be cut off at least. Just when Fry and his nearly 10 disciples who had broken through the blockade were about to rush out of the valley, suddenly buzz. A pressure so powerful that it made everyone present palpitate suddenly descended on the entire valley. At the same time, a towering, tall black figure walked out of the void, standing tall over the valley, looking down at everyone below. His eyes fell on the nearly 10 disciples who were about to escape from the valley. Want to escape? The figure said in a low voice. The voice was not loud, but it was like a heavy hammer, hitting Gates and Jonathan's minds heavily. Then, the black figure stretched out his right hand and aimed at he found where Fry and nearly 10 disciples were and took pictures from a distance. Boom! The entire void collapsed. A huge black palm condensed and formed in the void. Then, like a mountain falling from the sky, it aimed at the location of Fry and others, pressing down hard wherever it went. The void was directly squeezed and exploded, turning into a flow of spatial particles. Facing this terrifying blow, Fair and the others, who were still running away madly before, suddenly showed horror in their eyes. They stopped one by one in the air, roared at the same time, and aimed desperately. The black palm that pressed down issued his most violent blow. Not good. Venerable Jonathan of the Wei Tian Empire, not far away, couldn't help but exclaim. With his 9th-level intermediate Holy Spirit Master's strength, he could naturally feel the power of the black figure that suddenly appeared. Fry, don't resist, retreat. At this moment, the spiritual power in Jonathan's body burned to the extreme, and his whole body turned into a bolt of lightning, rushing towards the black palm, and at the same time he let out a frightened and angry roar. But there was no time at all. The black palm seemed to be slow, but in fact it was extremely fast. In an instant, it was in front of Fry and other nearly 10 disciples. Frey's attack with all their strength was the first to hit the huge black palm that exuded astonishing pressure, but it was like pebbles thrown into the lake, only causing a few tiny ripples on the palm. But there was no movement. The huge black palm like a mountain continued to move, and then directly slapped Fry and the others. Buzz! The void trembled silently, and everywhere the black palms moved, ripples appeared in the air, like waves of water, passing over the bodies of Fry and others. In the sky, Frey's expressions were frozen, and their movement stopped for a moment, maintaining their previous postures, and then, pung! Nearly 10 disciples were slapped by the huge black palm, including the 8th-level peak emperor spirit. Fry, the first holy son of the mighty empire, exploded and turned into powder all over the sky, dissipating in the air. A palm. Silent and silent. However, nearly 10 disciples who were among the top masters in the major forces, including Fry, the first holy son of the Mightian Empire who had reached the 8th level of peak strength, were all turned into ashes, with no bones left. It was so shocking. This scene immediately shocked everyone present. Fry. In the sky, Jonathan let out a heartrending roar. Blood flowed directly from his eyes, and he looked at the black figure above the valley with anger. Die! Jonathan roared, and endless spiritual power burst out from his body. At this moment, his whole body was like a light bulb, blooming with dazzling light, and he rushed towards the black figure. Ignorance! A low, majestic voice sounded in the sky. The black figure looked coldly at Jonathan, who was charging up, and slapped him down again. Boom! The black giant palm pressed down in the void, with a majestic momentum, sweeping across everything, and collided heavily with the desperate Jonathan. Buzz! Under Jonathan's attack, ripples could not help but ripple out on the black giant palm, but the next moment, the black giant palm had already slapped Jonathan's body heavily. Bang! Like a kite with its string broken, Jonathan was thrown heavily and blood flowed from his mouth across the sky. Die! The giant black palm did not pause, then fell down and slapped Jonathan's body hard again. Pung! As the Holy Land Venerable of the Wei-Tian Empire and a 9th level intermediate Holy Spirit Master, Jonathan, like Fry and others before, exploded directly under the slap of the black giant palm, turning into a rain of blood that spread across the sky. The valley where the fighting was still going on before was now silent and silent.